I've been asking myself why I love Dan Gilroy's Nightcrawler so much and what makes it stand out. One could answer Jake Gyllenhaal, and certainly they were right. In part, it is the great script.
Sorry, I'm late.
Are you Richard?
Rick.
I'm Louis Boom.
Oh, hey, Lou.
Louis, sit down.
But upon watching the film over and over again, I realized how many visual methods were used to support the outstanding acting and writing. The film works on very little emotion. It operates on different levels. From great staging to very thoughtful framing, Nightcrawler manages to creep under our skin more and more, like a disease that's overtaking our bodies. How does the film achieve this? What creative choices were made and why? Today I will investigate the concepts used by Dan Gilroy, the director, and in particular his cinematographer, Robert Elswits, as well as the whole team that created Nightcrawler, to show how effective simplicity is. Ultimately, Nightcrawler is a success story. The rise of Lou Bloom, played by Gyllenhaal, a thief who makes it in the news business and becomes an entrepreneur. Throughout the film, we see Lou learning the ins and outs of capturing the aftermath of newsworthy incidents, from car crashes to murder scenes. As Lou progresses and gets better at filming, Elswits' camera becomes less shaky, more steady, simply put, more professional. Gilroy lets the audience slowly adapt, just as Lou is learning to handle the technical equipment better. Look at the first time he's trying to film. Elswits' camera is shaky, often out of focus, the framing is off, and we see more of Lou's face and him holding the camera than actual footage. There are 7 different camera angles in this short scene, creating an effect of confusion. Thus, there are a lot of cuts, reinforcing the impression of chaos and unprofessionalism. This was mostly shot with a handheld camera on the shoulder, additionally adding to the impression of Lou as a dilettante. This is the second try to film. Elswits' camera has become less shaky and there's only one cut. This already represents progress. This is around the middle of the film. The shots are either done from tripods or with a very still handheld camera, letting the audience orientate themselves. The framing is focused, thought through, just like Lou is framing the van. The editing is looking for clear continuity. And every time Lou goes out and films, Elswits' camera becomes steadier, his framing more focused, and overall the impression of professionalism increases. Until we arrive here, let's compare the visual breakdown of this scene to the first time that Lou filmed. We start with a wide establishing shot, then cut to a handheld but still camera shot of Lou, then a close-up of Rick from a tripod, back to Lou slightly from below on a tripod, back to Rick. You get the point. This is a real cinematic montage, and we have arrived at a stage where Lou is able to direct others.
Steady hands!
The camera of Elswits and the editing underline that. The scene is shot in a standard way, from an establisher getting closer and closer with shot-reverse shot elements, no shaky camera movements, everything in focus, and all cuts aimed at continuity and order. Everything seems very professional. Lou has studied filmmaking, and we were silent co-students. I want to go more into detail about Elswits' framing and Gilroy's editing, as there were very subtle choices that still have a big effect, even when unnoticed. From Kubrick to Fincher, great directors use every frame with a great sense of responsibility and an awareness of the effects on the subconscious. Let's look at the dinner scene between Nina Romina, played by Rene Russo, and Lou, as it's probably the most emotional scene in the film, and as Gilroy stated, was the hardest scene to write. This scene on the surface seems very straightforward in the way it was shot. Establisher, shot reverse shot in 2 different sizes, plus 1 2-shot covering the table and a few details. But if we look closer, we realize that the camera makes slight corrections in between the shots to intensify the dynamic of the conversation. Look at this shot on Nina. We see a beautifully constructed shot with her in the center and the vase on the left. Here, after Lou says this,
You're from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
How'd you know that?
It's online.
the shot on Nina is slightly different. We don't see the vase on the left anymore, and Lou's head takes a bigger part of the screen. This isolates both more from the rest of the restaurant and also underlines him overstepping a line into a personal space. Then, as Nina states,
Whew. Yeah, well, we certainly appreciate what you do.
We are back in the two-shot to make clear that she sees the relationship as purely professional and wants to keep the distance. This defense from her side leads to Lou going on to the next stage of his plan. This new tactic is accentuated by an over-shoulder close-up to show his desire. Look at the space of the frame that Nina's head has. It's almost a third of it, and in the reverse shot on her, he's barely in it. This method is used to show the importance of each character for the other one. Nina is Lou's goal, therefore in the shot on him she takes up a lot of frame. Lou on the other side doesn't play a big role in her personal life yet, therefore not taking up a lot of space. Slowly from shot to shot, Lou's head becomes bigger in the close-ups on Nina, until at the end of the scene, when for a moment it seems that Nina has outsmarted him.
And as a friend.
Jesus Christ, friends don't pressure friends to fucking sleep with them.
He's completely out of the shot for the first time. And then, after he replies,
Actually, that's not true, Nina. Because as I'm sure you know, a friend is a gift you give yourself.
Nina doesn't know what to say anymore, and we arrive here. Lou now takes up around 40% of the screen in the shot on Nina, underlining that he has won the battle. There are more examples like this, but I feel the dinner scene really captures the idea of what to include and what to exclude in order to have certain effects and empower the dialogue. This might seem very straightforward and easy, but it is high-level filmmaking and something you rarely find with this precision. Great cinematography is always relying heavily on the directing and the actors. The staging in Nightcrawler is very thought through and subtle, often hiding the camera's movement and Gilroys' methods in order to capture authentic moments and not intervene with the acting. Let's examine the staging on the basis of this scene where Lou comes into the news station to show his material. Lou walks into Channel 6 to see Nina, and we follow him with a Steadicam until we with him together spot Nina and her colleagues. She then walks out, getting Lou to turn into profile and making room for her to get into profile, each facing each other now, with the colleagues in the background watching them, making the audience aware of the nature of the location. Then an extra walks in from the background, giving him reason to pull her aside into a closer shot of the two, still in profile, and also putting them closer together. Now she blocks the background and we don't see the colleagues anymore, reinforcing the personal relationship and an intimacy within this public place. Then Nina leaves, opening the shot up again and letting us see the co-workers leave the room and follow her, indicating the importance of his material. All of this is done in one shot, so much information transferred to the audience with so little effort. There's no need for close-ups in this case. I want to show another aspect of the staging that supports the concept of positioning in order to underline the status of a relationship. Nina and Lou are discussing a prize for the footage, and the scene starts with him standing above her, as he has the upper hand. In his close-up, he's filmed from below, and in her close-up, she's filmed from above, indicating he is ahead in the bargaining process. Then she stands up. They are now eye to eye, signifying they are getting closer in the negotiation and also that it's getting serious now. As he threatens to leave, she sits down on the desk. When he's laying out his final offer, he walks slowly towards Nina, first from an American medium into a medium shot, then a medium close-up, and then into a big close-up, going step by step through his conditions. We end with her looking up, and his shoulder covering almost half the shot on her. Just like in the dinner scene, he has won, again. Gilroy doesn't just move actors around for the purpose of activity on screen or let them play in what they perceive as the most authentic way. He finds movements together with Elswits and them in order to enhance the dynamics. This is something great filmmakers from Hitchcock to Melville have all done. Filming is finding a balance between how can the actors act most naturally, what is technically possible, and what do we want to achieve with this scene plot-wise and from an audiovisual standpoint. There are several situations and images in Nightcrawler that reoccur, pushing a comparison onto the audience and forcing the viewer to make assessments about their character's development, just like the learning camera or the opening and ending shots of the film. This is the first time Lou enters the TV station in the first 20 minutes of the film. He comes in through what seems like a back door. He's a clear outside factor. The camera starts distant, he's wearing a pinkish shirt that further isolates him. When he arrives, the presenter leaves and the lights are turned off, further indicating he doesn't belong there. Most people are sitting, making him as the one walking seem more alienated. Nobody notices him except for when he runs into somebody. This is at the very end of the film, and Lou enters the station, seemingly through the main entrance, with the footage of the car crash and his assistant dying. He walks in confidently, the colleagues know him, and there are a lot of people walking around, therefore he doesn't stand out so much. His clothing fits in more with the rest of the ambience. On top of that, the score almost makes the moment seem holy.
It's Friday.
Through these two scenes, we understand how far Lou has come. His journey is over, or at least the part of the journey that we get to accompany. At 2 points in the film, the fourth wall is broken. First, after Lou has for the first time impressed Nina and sits in the TV studio by himself. He takes a seat in the presenter's chair and looks into the camera. He is careful, like a shy animal. At the end of the film, in the interrogation room, after being questioned by the police, he also looks into the surveillance camera. And we, with all the knowledge that we have on Lou now, him having killed and manipulated for his goals, understand him. This time he looks confident and comfortable, because everything was a choice. Just before he said,
I like to say that if you're seeing me, you're having the worst day of your life.
and we comprehend that he's looking at us, the audience, that we could be next. In a way, we, the people, who like to watch all that brutal footage and are rewarding such news business, are to blame for what he has become. I want to highlight the last two scenes in Nightcrawler, as they very beautifully capture the essence of this video and show how the hero's journey is visually completed. When Lou leaves the police station, we get another look at him. This almost looks like a Levi's advert. Gilroy again wants us to compare. Lou hasn't changed much on the outside, still wearing the stolen watch, still looking like he could just be another skinny hipster, just another sociopath like you and I. Though now he is striving with confidence. He walks down the sidewalk and is hyper-aware of his surroundings, just as we are by now, through all the videos and sounds in the film. We hear police radio, and this is a new call for adventure. We understand that his personal journey will continue, and he is on his way to become a big entrepreneur, America's dream. And then there's this little moment. He enters the shadow, his world, the cosmos of the Nightcrawler, and as he walks, the Hollywood Hills appear behind him, and again we understand he has made it in LA. While he was standing in front of the fake paper wall in the TV studio before, misplaced like a deer caught in headlights, he now is finally there. The last scene of the film signifies time having passed in between. He wears a suit jacket, owns 2 vans with his own logo, has 3 new interns, and the vans leave in 2 separate directions, and as Gilroy put it, I always imagined that Lou was like a virus, and those 2 roads were capillaries going into the body, and he was going to infect the rest of us. I personally like to think that Bloom isn't the virus, but just a transmitter, or a fire accelerant. The film's message is, the real diseases are the networks and the TV stations that found their way into our households. Nightcrawler is a masterpiece, shot on only an $8 million budget. Gilroy and Elswits used a lot of very subtle techniques in order to achieve certain effects. For this video I had so much to choose from, as virtually every scene is worth analyzing. The film proves how very simple methods can have big effects. Gilroy decided to incorporate the aforementioned elements into the natural storyline and not give them extra scenes or big close-ups, therefore letting the audience discover it themselves. To the smallest detail, this film is full of delicate, well-constructed moments. Look at this transition. Lou tells Rick he has to step up his game. And in the next shot we see this billboard. There's no way of proving that all these methods work other than trusting our feeling as a viewer. Some things might only have an effect in our subconscious, others we notice actively. But by analyzing films that we love and scenes that impress us, we understand that they are full of these complex, premeditated and very well planned elements. Good films get better whilst analyzing, bad films fall apart. And that is why I will continue making these video essays deconstructing films that touch me and to try to understand why and how the filmmakers did it. If you want to support me through Patreon, here's a link. Otherwise, subscribe to my channel and suggest new topics.